Look, it wasn't my fault. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. As lawyers, you probably heard that one before, and probably more than once. Wrong place, wrong time. That sounds like a way of saying I had bad luck. Does that mean good luck is right place, right time? That makes it sound easy, but if good luck were easy, wouldn't we all be millionaires? There's something about being in the right place at the right time that's beyond just happenstance. There's elements of observation, intuition, connecting ideas to find the opportunities. A set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. That's the dictionary definition of opportunity. Notice, opportunities are not lucky, or random, or miraculous. Is it possible to create your own luck? Is it possible to recognize circumstances in the business of running your law firm and use them to be in the right place at the right time? That's what we're talking about today on Lawsome, recognizing the sound of opportunity knocking and how to open the door to a law firm that lasts. Ready? Let's go.
Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by ConsultWebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for lawyers that refrigerates their goals to keep the focus ice cold. I am Jake Sanders, and I never built a snowman I liked. And with me, as always, is Paul Julius. Paul, have you ever built an epic snowman that you bonded with?
Well, let me tell you, not necessarily snowman, but snow woman, and we were off and on for a while. It's, she moved on, I moved on. It's, something I look back on. I'm fond of it, but it's in the past.
You know what? And you guys had little snow babies, and you made an igloo together, and
We did.
But the igloo isn't a home without her.
I know. Sometimes you just have to leave the past in the past, Like Tupac says, leave the pieces on the floor and move on. Leave the snowballs on the floor.
That's it. And walk on and skate on.
Yeah. Time in my life, that chapter in my life, the page is turned.
Totally frosted. Tell these people what they have in store today.
Alrighty. On the show today, we talk about marketing and business development ideas for law firms with an article from legalmarketing.org. We interview lawyer and business development pro extraordinaire David Craig to discuss his path to growing a powerhouse law practice. And then we take our guests to the Thunderdome of the Mind with 5 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The article today is 10 Strategies for Legal Marketing and Business Development in 2018 by Laurie Barkman. It's on the Legal Marketing Association's blog, legalmarketing.org. Centered, ready to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So it's an enumerated list of 10, the 10 strategies. We picked out 5. Paul, let's trade.
All right, man.
All right.
Here we go. Number 1, make client service a priority.
Number 2, seek client feedback to extend relationships.
Number 3, shift marketing from firm-focused to client-focused.
4, introduce marketing outsiders, because if it's cold outside, let them in.
That's right. Otherwise, they're going to build little shanties around your firm.
They're warming their hands around an oil fire, just staring at you. Like, what's your click-through rate?
How can we sell this fire? What's its UVP? All right, and number 5, look for new revenue opportunities. So there's 5 more in the article. These were the 5 that we picked out. All solid suggestions.
Yep.
And I think, again, it's interesting that some of these things are marketing ideas. Some of these things are business ideas, and it's kind of viewed as 2 sides of the same coin. The one that I was most interested is the very last one in the article, which is our number 5, look for new revenue opportunities. And there's an example they give about a firm that conducted labor and employment training for clients. And afterward, the event manager sent email asking attendees if they were interested in further training. And the firm had developed this internal system for web-based training. And so they built this thing out, and the service now generates $500,000 a year.
Wow.
So, there's a thing where someone was like, boop, opportunity, here's something we had to do. So let's roll with it. I love that stuff. And Dave kind of talks about that, coming to it a little bit different way. But these are things where, it's not the law. Like, you don't have to get into the law. Like, if you find a way to securely transfer files quickly, you might be able to do, and in a way that's, compliant with whatever regulations you need for privacy or something like that. You may be able to turn around and say, hey, here's something I can offer to other firms. I make a little bit of money. Everybody's doing good business. I kind of like that. What do you think? What was your take out of the 5 that we liked?
So I think you have to have kind of that enterprising spirit, and reading these things kind of empowers the business chi. But the top 3 that we selected were all client-centered things.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
Just client-centered, ideology. So it's not just lip service. Saying that you want to keep the client at the center of the experience, it's really something that all too often is just printed on the bottom of a flyer. We care about our clients. Or, of course it's easy to say these things, but how do you really own it? How do you become client-centered? So they give really good examples about seeking the feedback, having them have a seat at the table as far as business development is concerned and marketing decisions are concerned. When you listen to your clients, you'll discover the things you need to work on. No shock here, but that was huge in all of these steps. And so it's nice to hear that that's where people are headed. And also later on in the interview, that's where Dave focuses his law firm's efforts. But there's a mix of humility, authenticity, a drive to make clients happy. But I think people will say, well, I want to smile every time you talk to your clients. Well, I don't work at TGI Fridays. I'm a lawyer. I do the law stuff. But lawyers who are starting to think of their law firm as a business, as a client-centered business, they're having more success because it's easier to adapt to mentalities and change and get strategies going on when you think of it as a business and get excited about it.
But Dick, we talked a little bit about this off air and client-centered. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of lawyers who are like, well, of course I'm client-centered. If I don't have clients, I don't get paid.
Right.
So, I mean, when someone's saying like, let's talk about client relationships, let's talk about these kind of things and shifting to a client-focused marketing, I can see a lot of people just being like,
what does that mean?
You know what? That's just some marketing crap. Of course I'm about clients. You send me an email, I reply. But I think at least my thought on that is there's a difference. Yes, you replied. Everybody, okay, we all expect replies, but it's how you reply and when you reply.
Right.
Is that what you're kind of poking a sharp stick at, Jake?
Well, no, but rightfully so. I think time strapped. You only have certain windows to engage, and you have to get in and out. All the lawyers that I've ever talked to over email, it's 1 word, 2 words, good, great, boom, in, out, perfect. I don't want to bother you. I know you're busy, but it's about finding the pocket in the activity of your firm's business where you can cultivate the insights and the research to find what your clients are experiencing. And so you need thermometers, in your food storage case. You need to figure out measurements and metrics and baselines. And so those are really businessy kind of things. Yeah. And so if you don't have business-ish thoughts, you might not be able to collect the insights that will help you run as a business. But if you don't know, and I was kind of dragging myself. We say the same things over and over. And oddly enough, Dave Craig says that's how lawyers are. You hear the same advice over and over: how to run a better business, how to be a better lawyer, how to be, a more bulldog or more, aggressive trial strategies, or how to close deals or mass torts, or, all those things. We give you all the steps necessary to win. And yet, you have a hard time applying these things.
Very true. And I think another thing that Dave mentions later is some of these concepts that are very standard in the business world with regards to how to build on things and how to identify things and take advantage of some of these opportunities don't seem natural for lawyers, because lawyers have this, I don't want to say large and in charge. And I guess I'm generalizing here, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it's difficult to turn off that lawyer brain and turn on the businessman brain, because sometimes they're at odds.
Mm-hmm. No, and they're the owners though. And I mean, it isn't a large in charge thing. You're, regardless of how this is, you are in charge.
And the other thing is too, it's tough to get that. I mean, I guess that's what I was really going to, is that when you're knee deep in it, it's tough to step back and be like, really the processes are bottlenecking here. Like you just can't, as no business owner can.
And there you go. No business owner can, not lawyers specifically. It's everyone. And what the key ingredient here is ego.
Yep.
And what the key thing that needs to be let go is that ego. So arrogance, ego, business legacies, owning the process, quality control, all of that stuff. Dave Craig takes us through it, and we're going to it.
Let's go.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Since 1999, ConsultWebs has been helping law firms connect with clients on the web, connect digital marketing success with firm success, and connect their business goals to proven strategies that help them get the most out of their legal marketing. Go to consultwebs.com to learn more.
And now, for a Lawsome interview.
David Craig is the managing partner as well as one of the founding partners of the law firm of Craig, Kelly, and Faultless. Since he began practicing law more than 30 years ago, he's been fighting to obtain justice for ordinary people against insurance companies, trucking companies, and large corporations. While being active within the Indiana community, David is an Academy of Truck Accident Attorneys board member on the Trial Lawyers Board of Regents and received the Litigator Awards for truck accidents for 2014 and 2015. After aligning our schedules and seeing a space in his trial dates, we are lucky to have Dave Craig on the Lawsome Podcast to talk about law firm development. Dave, how the heck are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to be here.
So let's explain a little bit about your legal career's trajectory, your professional experiences before the law, and then from trial lawyer to law firm owner.
Well, I started off thinking that I wanted to go into an area of business where I could help people. First thought maybe I'd go into politics, and then I got involved in that and found out that was a little bit more challenging to help people than I thought. So I decided to become an attorney. I was a decent student, but not a great student. Somehow I got into IU Indianapolis Law School, which is now the McKinney Law School. And after the first semester, I tried the best that I could and realized that I wasn't going to be top of my class. And so then I thought, you know what, I better go get a job. And so I went out and got a job after my first semester, started working for who I thought was some of the best attorneys in the state of Indiana, and gained a ton of experience that way. And once I started getting experience, it was all in trial experience. I loved trial work. And so I knew at that point that I would be a trial lawyer. And so I finished law school, got through. But more importantly, I worked throughout my entire time through law school after that first semester.
Mm. And so that makes sense. And then how you have a specific approach about the way you run the firm. And I was really, really inspired. We spoke, and I heard you speak at APITLA, which was a trial lawyer conference. So we had dinner, and at dinner you spoke of owning the operations behind your law firm's processes. You bought the print shop. You set up the medical record collection in-house. As far as law firm development's concerned, what's your advice to law firm owners? Do you feel that most law firms or lawyers are engaged? They have a good grip on the admin or business side of things, or what do you think what are the odds on that?
I think it's a great question. I mean, I think I see a lot of law firms that don't. I get contacted by a lot of law firms that don't get the business side. I graduated with an undergraduate degree in business, loved business, came up from a family of entrepreneurs. My great-grandparents had a small grocery store over in Richmond, Indiana. And it was natural. My dad had his own business. And so it was natural for me to migrate to having my own business. And but in law school, you have a lot of people with all kinds of different undergraduate degrees, but most of them, or a lot of them, were not in business. And so when I came out, I started building a business, and I was using copy companies, for example. And I need to get my copies, and I needed to get posters for trials. And you're always like, you're just one customer of many. And so you weren't always a high priority. And so I wasn't always happy with the quality of the work I was getting. I wasn't always happy with the promptness of the work. I said, why don't I just build my own company? And I'm paying somebody else anyway. Well, I could probably charge my clients less money, build my own company. And so we did that. We built a copy company, and it does all my trial work. And I know that the night before a trial, if I need a poster made or an exhibit made, they'll work through the night to get it done where, some other place wouldn't. And then we decided, I was using the outside sources to request medical records. And the same thing is that, the quality of the services I was getting wasn't that great, and I was paying a fortune. So why not build your own business? And so we did that. And we've done that with several. Why not have our own investigative services? And so we've done a lot of different types of services that I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the quality of the work I was getting from outsourcing it. And so we just built our own, and we disclose that to the clients on the front end. And clients know that, and yet they pay less than what I was paying to other people, and the quality is a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, this is a great attitude, and this is something decades ago, I have a manufacturing background, and the company that we had would, if we saw a job that maybe we didn't have the machine for, we would look for a way to quote the job to buy the machine. So then you're taking that kind of attitude and saying, well, we didn't have this capacity before. Now we can get it anytime we want. And we can start taking stuff from other companies that maybe didn't have the best service or something like that. So it's a great attitude. I'm kind of fascinated. Do you feel it's better to build something from the ground up, or do you have more of like an acquisition approach?
We've always built it from the ground up. I think you can do acquisitions, but acquisitions are tricky. When I build it, I can hire the people that I want to put in there. I know that they're motivated, and they understand that our number one client is Craig Kelly and Follis. And so they have to understand that, and they have to treat us in a particular way. And even if we outsource it to other companies, we still want to make sure that our business, our firm, gets taken care of. And so I think sometimes, building it from the ground up is a little bit easier to do that because you can put the right key players in. I can put the key players in to run the companies. I can put the key players in to work at the companies. And so that's worked best for me. And so that's the way we've done it.
In regards to other lawyers, you spoke at the trial conference that we were at about arrogance and ego. And I felt like I had some moments with you where I caught you talking about something you were really passionate about. So what are your feelings on ego in the legal industry, and what are your prescriptions for addressing it? And why do you think ego is a barrier to creating, law firm legacies or business opportunities or developments? I mean, we'll just kind of riff on that, because that was good.
Sure. I think that, I think it's in particular trial lawyers. I mean, to be a successful trial lawyer, you have to have self-confidence. You've got to believe you're going to walk in that courtroom and win. And so you have to have an ego. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that doesn't necessarily make you the best business person. Law school does a great job of making you feel important. I remember when you walk in, my son's an attorney, my daughter's an attorney. And I remember their significant others going to the first meeting, and the law school tells them how important it is. And as family members, you've got to support these people and blah, 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 blah. And they make you feel really important. And you come out of law school thinking, boy, I'm all that. And then you get out in the real world. And the real world is, in business, you may not be that. If you have a political science background and not a business background, and you come out and you think that you're all that, well, that can create some problems. First of all, you might be afraid to admit you don't know something. And that's a horrible weakness to have in business, especially as competitive as what the law business is. And if you're sitting there, afraid to say, well, I don't know this, or I need help with this, then the chances are you're not going to be as successful as you could have been by admitting you don't know everything. And so the great thing about me was I knew I didn't know much. I had plenty of people who would testify every day that I don't know that much. And so I was able to surround myself with people who did. And I wasn't afraid to ask, and I wasn't afraid to say, gosh, I just don't know that. And so when you do that, you can help yourself so much. But I think a lot of lawyers fight that. They don't want to admit they don't know, because they know so much. I mean, and they are smart, but they don't want to admit that they don't know how to do SEO. They don't want to know. They don't want to admit that they don't know how to market. They don't want to admit that they don't know how to do financial statements or review financial statements or use a CFO or use the right people. Heck, a lot of them, it's amazing to me how many of them are not running their firms as a business. And it's partially because they just don't want to admit they don't know something.
Well, who does? Well, I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
I mean, definitely, I agree with that. But on the other hand, too, I mean, people come to lawyers because they have difficult situations that they need answers. So you're kind of propped up, to be. I'm the answer guy. I'm used to having the answers.
Interesting.
So I can see that.
And they do, and people do come to you, and you do have to know your areas, and in your certain area of expertise, you probably are more knowledgeable than anybody else. But that doesn't mean you know everything. I mean, every client I sign up knows something more than I know about something. I don't know what it is, but they know something more than I know. And so the challenge is trying to find out what everybody knows and gain that knowledge and use it to your advantage.
Nice. So now, here's the thing, Dave. You have this affable personality that has this sort of, you have a very natural way of engaging with people, and you just have a great personality. And there's something about the honesty and authenticity that comes from the way you say, well, I don't know that. And people are like, well, right on. There's something empowering about this. How do you kind of there's something about not faking it or making it or standing up or something. It's like you smile when there's a customer service angle to this. There's a service angle to this. And I'm just wondering, you have a dominance in the way that you say, hey man, I don't know. Most people don't have that. How do you help people see that as an empowering thing, or how do you help people get past that ego that stops them from doing it?
I think first of all, you're just honest with people. I think you let people know that, if I can do it, anybody can. And the big obstacle to your success is you. And if you'll stop and just wait and ask, there's so many organizations, there's so many businesses, there's so many people out there that are willing to help you. But you've got to be willing to ask it, and you have to listen. A lot of lawyers won't listen. They'll ask for the advice, but they won't listen to it. I remember client expenses, for example, in the personal injury business, it's a big deal. We have a lot of money out on every case that we have in the office. And some of them, you're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars out. And I remember when I first got out, I hired a CFO, and the CFO came in, and the CFO, he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I want you to have financially reviewed settlements or financial statements. Bank audit. I want audited by a professional CPA firm. I want you to do this, this, and this. If you do that, then the bank will work with you. And then the bank will give you a line of credit for all your client expenses. And so you'll have a line of credit only for client expenses. And so you advance expenses when you need them. When you settle the case, you pay them back. And that was unheard of. You would believe how many lawyers come to me and say, how did you do that? I said, well, I didn't. I just knew that there was an issue there. And I went to somebody who knew how to do it. I listened to them, and then I followed their advice. And now I have, I have audited financial statements. I have a CFO. I have banks who love me. I always have a backup bank who's ready to do business with me in case my current bank decides they change their mind, because my CFO does that. And I have lawyers who are a lot smarter than I am, who are very successful, but not as successful as they want to be because they can't bankroll their own expenses, and they're having to pay it out of their operating account. It's just simple things of just letting people know, hey, this is what we do. And don't be afraid to ask questions. But more importantly, once you ask the questions, listen and follow the advice you're given.
To kind of take the next step from this is, the future of the law firm with outsourcing and in-housing. We've been talking about that. I'm curious about your thoughts about the industry and what you think is changing and what might never change. And, if you had to put you on the spot, just a quick thought on where things are going.
I think it's exciting. I think it's more competitive. But if you're a successful trial lawyer, if you try cases like we do, you like competition. And so, I look at competition not as a bad thing. I look at it as an exciting thing. And it certainly is getting more competition in my world and in the personal injury world. You're seeing regional players, national players come into it, and that's okay. I like that. It makes you more unique. You have to look at your business and say, how do we thrive no matter what? When I have a jury, I don't say, guys, this is a bad jury, I'm going to lose the case. My job is to win no matter who that jury is. And my job is to build a successful business no matter who my competition is. And so I actually find it exciting. It's not going to be the same as it is today. We're constantly looking out in the future saying, how do we do things? Whether it's building these other, companies that we can outsource to, whether it's marketing, we have to look at it and say, why are we unique? Why are we different? What do we offer that other people don't? And the great thing about it is if you're just yourself, hell, that's easy. If you're yourself, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. And that makes you unique, and that makes you different than no matter who you're marketing against. And so I think, we try to make a positive difference in the lives of our clients. And that's just not, how much money we get them. It's how we treat them. Do we return their telephone calls? Do we talk to them? Do we move their case quickly? Do we meet with them? Or do I give them all my cell phone numbers? And so there's a lot of things that are changing, but yet the same. I mean, today, more and more clients want to sign up electronically. Heck, when I first started, if you would ask me that, I would have said, no, they want to come meet with me. Well, again, that was an arrogance thing. They would definitely want to come meet the attorney face to face. They don't. They want the most convenient. And so I think as the business develops and as we move forward, we're going to have to look at technology, see how technology affects our practice. And we're going to all have to continue to move in that direction and move quickly. And then that brings me to consulting with the right people. You have to work with the right people and listen to them, or you'll be left behind.
It's tough, man. But there is a little bit of that ego. There is a little bit of that honesty. That's a theme that's kind of trending throughout all of the advice that we have on business development and marketing is an authentic core that kind of relies on the service, seeing the assets that your clients are. But one quick question about legacy. As you're headed into your 30th year doing trial lawyering, what are you thinking as a pivot? Because a lot of the commentary around embracing new business models is that the old lawyers don't want to change. And I think that you've done something where you've sort of set up a legacy and own the pieces of the machinery so you can pass it off with much more confidence. And I'm just wondering if that is, if I'm onto something, and then what your advice is to people who are thinking of setting up legacies and passing it down and trying to build up, the youngsters.
Yeah, I think one of the saddest things that I've seen over my years, over 30 years doing this, is see law firms that just end. The lawyer gets old, they get sick, they have a heart attack or whatever, and their practice just goes away, and you're buying their books at an auction, and it's just sad, or you're buying their furniture. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I surrounded myself with some really great young lawyers. The lawyers that work for us typically are lawyers that work for us in law school. Even my partner, Scott Follows, was a law clerk of mine years and years ago. And these are people who you bring up who have same type of goals or same type of principles. And then you look at it and you say, okay, guys, let's run this thing as a business. Let's figure out what the value of the business is. Let's have a CFO. Let's have audited financial statements. And then let's let other people buy into the company so that my share shrinks over time, as does with the other partners. And the younger attorneys take over and they end up having more and more share, and I end up with less of the whole. But, that's okay. That means the firm gets to continue forward, continues to go, continues the thing that we've built. Doesn't just disappear. And I'm excited about that. We're in that period now. Even we have one of our associates will be a partner soon at the first of the year. And this is an exciting time. And it's an exciting time to bring new people, young people in and let them take over the practice and kind of phase your shares out over time. Now, I can't imagine not working. I love to work. It's what I do. I love trying cases. There's no place I'd rather be than in a courtroom. But, at the same time, you've got to look at the big picture. And again, it's another business. If you ignore it, then before you know it, you're going to be winding down your business, or somebody's going to be wrapping up your estate. And if you plan it and run it like a business, then you can hand it off to somebody. Plus, you can get paid for all the hard work you did building it.
Man. So, Dave, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for spending time with us. How can people learn more about you and your law firm?
Our law firm is located in Indianapolis, Indiana. I practice a lot of trucking cases throughout the Midwest and Ohio Valley. You can get me at my email address is dcraig@ckflaw.com. And, I'm happy to answer any questions or help anybody or talk to anybody. Obviously, you can tell I love to talk. So give me a call or send me an email and I'll be happy to chat with you.
5 questions we ask everyone.
Number 1, what was the last book you read?
I think it was Don't Split the Difference by Voss.
Oh, yeah.
Solid. Number 2, what's your favorite place?
My screened-in porch where I like to sit out when the weather is nice and read.
Oh, man. That's tough. Indiana doesn't make that easy, though, right?
No, spring and fall, though. But right now, yeah, I guess the second place is I have a room with a fireplace I sit in and read.
Oh, nice. Number 3, what sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
I belong to a lot of the different trial lawyers associations. I get ConsultWeb's emails. Anybody I do business with, I try to follow their emails and their blogs.
Cool. Very cool. And solid advice. Number 4, if you were stranded on a desert island and could only pick one condiment to take with you, what would it be?
Well, that's sad, but I would probably pick beer.
You're not the first person to answer that, so it's not sad at all, man.
I don't know, but if I'm going to be on an island, I'd like to have some beer.
It's versatile. All right, we made it to the end. Number 5, after a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
I just spend time with my wife. I started dating her when she was 15. I was 16. We've been married since '83, and she runs my practice. She's somebody I trust, and so when we're done here, we like to spend time together.
For show notes, links, and info, go to thelawsomepodcast.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Be sure to leave us a review and rating in iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawsome.